G'day toy fans, and I'm Factor from Irikanji Toys, and this episode I'm going to show you something that is really exciting for me in the world of how to make your own designer toys and how to do all that cool stuff. So, as I said, something really exciting. I love doing this. It's probably my... Okay, alright. Okay, I'm going to be truthful. I hate doing this. It is one of the most annoying things that you have to do when you're making toys. I loathe it. It takes a lot of time. Well, okay, maybe not so much time, but it's one of those finicky little things that I really just... And that is cleaning up all the flashing and getting your toy ready to paint. An essential part of making toys? Yes. An exciting part of making toys? No. Really quite boring. But, you know, you put some YouTube on, you put some music on, you kind of like just sit there and work and you get it done. So what I wanted to do is just show you like all this stuff, like from the mold, you know, how to clean it up, how to get it ready. I know it sounds pretty basic, but it is basic. But there's a couple of techniques and tricks that you can do that will actually make it much more efficient, and that'll make it maybe, if not more enjoyable, just more easier. It's not enjoyable at all, but it's the things that we have to do to get a toy ready. So let me show you some of my tricks on how to clean all the flashing and get your toy ready to be primed and painted. Sweet. Okay, so I've got a couple of toys here. Alright. And as you can see, they have a couple of bits of flashings. There was actually an air bubble or a tear on my silicone here. And there's little bits and pieces, some stuff that I don't really want on there. You know, cleaning up a bit, all that kind of thing. What I'm not going to show you is this. So I cast my toys kind of upside down like this, right? And then they've always got this like bits left. Well, I don't know if I actually have an example to show you because I've cleaned all these ones up. But they'll have stuff like residue resin that's left over. So in order to clean that up, I use a power sander, like just one of those little, you know, hand belt sanders. I flip it upside down and I just turn it on with a mask, always with a mask, and just, and I grind it down with the sander. Really effective, really quick. The only thing that you have to be careful of is all of the dust. So make sure you wear some kind of jacket or something that the dust won't go onto your clothes. Make sure that you have a really good mask on and eye protection. And then you basically just put the belt sander, like, you know, those little 4 sanders, you know, just flip it upside down like that. And then just sand it down and sand it down. And then what we got to do is we've got to come back and clean up all this stuff. Now, there's a couple of tools, really basic tools that you need for this. The most important tool is this. Scalpel, right? Again, secondly, you need your trusty water. And thirdly, if you don't have one yet, you need your toothbrush. I've gone through this in a previous video, but I'll just do it again because I need to set it up. This is an Oral-B toothbrush. Okay, what I've done is I've just gotten rid of all the bristles on this piece and flattened it down. Okay, and if you haven't seen the previous video, this is all you do. You get a piece of double-sided tape, whack it down on there, and then just scalpel it off. Okay, pull that little bit off there, which can be tediously annoying. Get some sandpaper. Now I use, for cleaning up like flashing and stuff, I use about a 400. Any coarser than that and you might leave scratch marks and stuff like that on your piece. Anything finer than that, and it's really not going to help you remove and smooth off those edges where your flashing is. So I just throw this down on there, and then I cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it. Okay. Then you have your waterproof sander. That's what the water's for, okay? So let's take a look at these toys, okay? So, yes, the moldings, it's pretty good, but there's things on here that I need to fix. So, for example, all this flashing here, alright? So, scalpel, that comes off really easily. You just kind of like do that. Be careful not to go too quickly or too hard. Sometimes you can kind of, really screw it up and get the thing. Now, you're going to have little bits like this, okay? So just kind of smooth it out. And then sometimes you're going to have like aberrations and imperfections like that. I don't even know why that's there. Think that I had a tear in my silicone after a couple of molds. Because when I first did it, it wasn't there, and it was fine. Right? So I'm just going to gently get rid of that a little bit. Okay. So now, blading it across like this, yeah, that kind of works. I can get rid of some of the big bits. But a lot of the time, when I'm using my scalpel to do this cleaning up, I'm not actually doing it blade forward. I'm actually doing it blade backwards, and I'm scraping it off like that. Right? Much more effective. And it really kind of just gets rid of those lines. And the other thing that you can do is, see how like you do that, you got to be careful, because if you slip, you're going to smash it in and like maybe mark your toy. You got to do it for a few things here, but a lot of the time the scalpel is good enough that if you just go backwards on it like that, the flashing cleans up really quickly. Plus, you're kind of using the blade on a flat edge like that, and it won't mark it or dig in anywhere if you're actually going backwards. Just as effective as going forwards. Sometimes you're going to have a few little bits here, a few little bits there. Okay, get rid of some of that. But mostly I'm scratching backwards a lot of the time, right? So this mold was pretty good. There's not too much flashing on it. Must have, cast it all right. And I'm just going through and getting rid of all those little tiny bits and pieces that are left over. There's a little bit there that I don't like. It's a knobby bit, so I'll just get rid of that. And then, boom. Okay. All right. Notice there's a bit in there, so I'm just taking a look around and seeing like where all the little bits are, getting rid of them, smoothing it out, getting rid of all those little edges and shit that nobody wants to see on a toy. Okay. Oops. Okay. Yep. Well, maybe a little bit there. And then I just kind of like, yep. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Okay. I'm not going to worry about the base. I'm going to come and fill that in and fix it up later. All these little things. So, as I said, yeah, I'm going to come and fix that. So it's not flat. Right, this must have been an air bubble when I poured it and stuff, or the resin didn't sink in. It's not pretty, but I mean, you're not going to see it. So, I don't know. Maybe you'll see it. I will just come in with a bit of epoxy sculpt and fill that over and then just sand it back again. Right? So that's pretty much it, and I pretty much got rid of most of the flashing. And now, all I do is I just quickly take this and I just run it on the edges. And that'll just smooth it out a bit. Get rid of any like perceptible lines that are on it. Make sure you're constantly dipping your brush. This is why you use a toothbrush, because it lets you use wet sanding so that you don't get any dust from your resin. So I just kind of run this through on the edges and just kind of, it's a 400, so the 400 will smooth it out, but it won't leave any, quite perceptible marks once you've actually like gone through and primed this. Okay. I'm just going through, getting the gaps, all the bits and pieces. The toothbrush does a pretty effective job for a little while. The batteries don't last very long if you've got an older one, and I'm reusing older toothbrushes, so I'm just coming through and just really getting that flashing and sanding it down. It's not making any marks. So I just noticed here that I didn't quite get that out. So I'm just getting a bit more, and then I'll scrape it back to flatten it out. Scrape, scrape. I don't know if this will fit down there, but I'll give it a go. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get in there, and that's where you just get your piece of sandpaper. Just kind of like clean it up. Clean it up. There's a line there. I'm just going to get rid of that. Maybe not. Maybe I didn't cut it back enough. Notice I'm scraping it, not slicing it down like that. You can do, I mean, look, whichever way works for you. Just that scraping works for me a lot better, and it's quicker, and you have more control, and you don't slice your finger open and stab your finger and bleed everywhere all over your toy. Some people might enjoy that, but you know, not for me. Alright, just give it a bit of a run. Okay, on those bits. So let's just get that. I saw some flashing on there. And you know, give it a bit of a dip, and that's it. Bobsy Boat Builder. It's not a perfect job, but you know, it's flashing. It's seam lines and stuff on toys. People are used to it. It's a handmade thing. Now, before I prime this, I will put it into, soak it in some water with a bit of just, you know, detergent, and then I will, before I prime it, I'll just give it a bit of a wipe down with some isopropyl alcohol. That'll remove any of the crap that might be on here, or residues, or dust, or anything like that, and it'll make it nice and clean and ready to be primed, right? So that's that one. I got this little dude here, so let's just take a look. Sometimes I just dip them in just so that I can like see where it is. All right, so this one's got a bunch of stuff. This was a really quite a difficult miniature 3-piece mold, because I had to do the 3rd piece in here to get the 4 legs. So there's like a couple of weird aberrations and that on the legs that I need to get rid of. And notice I'm just scraping backwards here. There's some on the leg here. Scrape, 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 scrape. Some on the inside, just make sure I got all that. And then down in here on these legs here. And then just get rid of that first, and then I'll scrape it out. Okay, there's a bit there that I don't want at all. Yeah, it's just weird deformities and that in the mold. You know, at some stage I'm gonna, you know, if I keep doing these videos, I will get some better video equipment. These are just running off. These are Logitech like HD cams at the moment, and I mean, you know, they're okay. They're webcams. They're good for work, but they're not great for doing this stuff. But at least you get the idea. And one day, if I keep doing this, which I don't know, I probably will every so often over time, I'm gonna need some better ones. So I'm just gonna scrape that down. Scrape that down. That one needs a bit more. Yeah, the insides of these legs were pretty shitty, and that's alright. Alright, so now I'll just go follow the rest and just kind of look for. So the rest of the mold's really good. Like, there's no flashing or anything like that. So maybe a tiny bit here on the face. That's about it. Like, yeah. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to use a toothbrush for all of this, but let's just run it along the edges. You see mine? And we'll try to get in here on the legs on those bits that were a bit crappy. I'm probably going to have to use the other sandpaper for this. Oh, I can get most of it. And some jaggy bits. A 400 grit sandpaper is perfectly fine for this. You know, you're not going on there and ruining anything. I'm just going to use a bit of like fresh paper here and just run it on the insides of this. I know that there's some bits there. Sort of smooth those out. A couple of bits there. Get that. Yee! Riding pony, riding pony, riding pony. You know, we're in 5-day lockdown here at the moment, so you know, you just have to amuse yourself when you're in these situations. Okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit on the back here where the seam line is back there. And give it a bit more, one more run of this. And that's it. That's done. So that's 2 pieces. I mean, look, it's not the most exciting job in the world, but the problem is, right, is when you have like all these things that you have to do, you know, like you gotta go through and do each one individually, and you got this mountain of shit that you've cast. And you got to go through and oh yeah, okay, all right, yeah, that one and that one, and then you got all this stuff. Like, I got to go through and do that for each one of these. So it's good to just like kind of put on like a YouTube, or you know, maybe watch my tutorials, all the rest of them, and then you can just like work on these. And you know what? These are raw resin at the moment. They're not gonna break. They're not fragile, right? And it's okay because nothing's gonna break. Murphy's Law will say that I will break these if I keep doing this. But I've got to get through all of these, and yeah, it's going to take me a while. But that's okay. That's alright. That's the nature of making toys. It's a process, and I do love, absolutely love the process of making toys. I just really hate this part of it. And that's fine. So that's it. Like just a short video tonight on how to go through on my little tiny techniques for cleaning up flashing. As I said, not the most exciting thing to do, but absolutely essential and really important because you want to have a nice toy at the end that you can paint that looks nice and smooth. It's all just attention to detail. And that's about all that I have for you for this actual episode. Please check out the rest of my videos that I've done over time. I do have more coming. I've just taken a little bit of a hiatus, but I am back and I've got a whole bunch of stuff that's already pre-recorded they're going to be working on and kind of releasing, and yeah, plenty more to come. Thanks a lot, Toy Fiends. Have a good night, day, morning, afternoon. Have a good one, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. Make toys, share your secrets, tell everybody everything about how you make them, because the more people that know all of these techniques, the better toys we have, the more creativity we have, and just the coolest shit that we get to see and that we get to buy and appreciate. Take it easy. Okay, alright, you know, I did forget. Yes, I do have a drink tonight. This is not tea. This is Japanese imo shochu. Not soju. That is Korean and a very different thing. Different makeup, different composition. It's made using, like, soju's made using a Noruk. This one is made using a koji. This is a sweet potato imo shochu. It has bugger all calories, maybe 42 calories per shot, one of the lowest calorie ratios out of any alcohol. But I digress. Drink this shit because it's so tasty and it's really great for keeping off weight while you're making toys. Nah, doesn't matter. Just drink it. Cheers.